Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. So this half moon night, usually we have a midday talk, but since Lampo is not giving the talk, I have been invited to give the talk, so I take this opportunity. It's a privilege, it's an honor to be able to explore the Dhamma once a week. And we have taken the precepts, everybody has taken the precepts. So I was thinking the 3 refuges, go to refuge to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That's something I have done as a child, growing up in Sri Lanka. But it happened in a very parrot fashion. Enjoyed it, though, but didn't know what the depth of it at that time. And of course, as an adult, it slipped away growing up. Unfortunately, I grew up. And now back again in a monastery, now I have taken this life, living the life of a samana. I was just thinking, what a privilege to be able to go to refuge to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Now when I think of it, it's going refuge to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Because of Buddha, the Dhamma became a way. Dhamma was discovered because of the Buddha. And then the Arya Sangha, the one who followed the Buddha's teachings. So having that kind of a refuge, it's a true refuge. It's absolutely amazing when I think of it like that. Now, because as a child we do it, because that's how a Buddhist family brings up a child. And I'm very glad I had it, but I didn't know what I was doing. Just did it because that's what we do. And now, looking at it in this way, it gives me great joy. And we have this opportunity. Amaravati, places like Amaravati exist to practice in this way. So I thought of sharing a teaching from Buddha, coming from a sutta. It's a simile, water simile, used to explain, talk about 7 persons in samsara. And Buddha uses the water. The water is compared to the samsara. And these 7 people, 7 persons. The first one enters the water and goes down straight away. Never comes up. So this person is compared to somebody who has not understood any wholesome acts, one who lives in a very immoral way. So this person has no chance of coming to the top or getting out of the water. They go down straight away and stay down. The person goes down and stay down. So the second person, once the person hits the water, goes down but comes up and goes down again. So momentarily, this person reaches the top to go down again. And that's explained as this momentarily coming up, understanding there is something wholesome and unwholesome. But it's not followed through. So momentarily realize there is this spiritual aspect, there is this wholesomeness and unwholesomeness, but it doesn't follow it through. That means maybe the person thinks, oh, it's good to visit a place of worship, but only thinking about it. Do not act on it. So there's no chance of survival. This momentarily comes up and goes down again because it's not followed through. Then the third person goes down and comes up, just about stay on the top. Waiting to be rescued, maybe holding on to something and stay at the top. So this person understands 5 qualities, remembers 5 qualities, the quality of saddha, hiri, ottappa, virya and panya, that is faith, moral shame, moral dread, energy and wisdom. So what are these 5 qualities Buddha is talking about? So in this, referring to this person, the person remembers that there are these 5 qualities, and it helps that person to come up, but the person doesn't do anything more than that, stays above on top of the water. That means these qualities, they're neither diminished nor they are made more of. So just about stay up in the water. So these qualities, to talk a bit more about these qualities, so saddha, faith, it's normally translated as faith, but I prefer to call it confidence, conviction, that is having experienced the teachings and having confidence that it works. That's not blind faith, but true faith coming out of confidence and conviction, knowing that these teachings help, it has its place. It can help us to improve the quality of the mind, develop the mind. So that's how I understand faith, the first quality. And the second quality, the Hiriyanotapa, these are the guardians of the world. The world exists because of Hiriotapa, because Hiri is moral shame that we feel internally. That's an internal quality. Internally we feel there is this goodness and there are these wholesome acts and the unwholesome acts. So that's moral shame. We try to develop wholesome acts and keep away from the unwholesome acts. That's an internal quality one develops. And the other one, the moral dread, is an external, because the society will point us, well, whenever an unwholesome act is done, we do know by living in society, because either we get jailed or we are expelled from families, communities. So that kind of behavior, that's moral dread. So these two, knowing that this kind of behavior, what it does internally and externally, that's the guardians of the world. So these are the second and the third. Then the fourth being energy, the effort. The effort, simply the effort is to overcome the unwholesome that has arisen in the mind and prevent the unwholesome arising in the mind. And developing the wholesome one, unwholesome arising in the mind, and overcoming the unwholesome arising in the mind, and preventing unwholesome arising in the mind, and developing the wholesome to arise in the mind, developing the wholesome that has arisen in the mind, and cultivating the wholesome that has arisen in the mind. So this is all the effort we have to put. It's not, we have to put a lot of energy and get worked up about it. The only effort that we are supposed to put in our practice is this, just recognizing what has arisen in the mind. When you think in that way, it's such a simple thing. All you have to do is to be aware of what has arisen in the mind and recognize. And the more we become aware and recognize what has arisen in the mind, we can work with it, knowing whether it's wholesome or unwholesome. That's the only effort one has to put with Buddha's teachings. So that's the effort. And the last one being wisdom. Wisdom is something we develop. Well, for me, right view is wisdom. Establishing right view. That's knowing there's mother and father, that is, knowing there's good begets good, and if you do something good, we get the return. And if we do something unwholesome, we know what the return is. and knowing the Four Noble Truths. That's the core teachings of the Buddha. In fact, we chanted the Dhammacakka Sutta this evening. So that's what Buddha awakened to on the night of enlightenment, understanding what this human existence is all about. Having a mind and a body. Because the body lets us down. We have no control of what the body does. And we do look after this body very well. I mean, all our life is spent on looking after this body. Why do we go earn money? To put food on the table, because we have to feed this body. Our whole life is based on looking after this body, finding money to look after this body. Yet, it lets us down. But still, we carry on regardless, looking after the body. We don't pay much attention to the mind. That's what the meditation does, developing and cultivating this mind. And with all the Buddha's teachings, everything, every sutta, every teaching that Buddha has expounded helps to develop the mind. Yes, Buddha has given teachings to lay people how to live the life in a good way. There are many suttas, many instructions given by Buddha to live the life in a good way. Not everybody has to live lay life and take up monastic life. But this meditation aspect, the cultivation of the mind, that reflective aspect we have, only human beings have it. Well, I don't know. Well, I know what to be a human being. So the human beings have this reflective quality. The animals don't have it. And that's what the Buddha's teachings is always pointing out to be able to use this reflective quality and the contemplative quality we have, and to understand this mind. Because we are nothing but these five aggregates, the form, feeling, perception, the mental formations and consciousness. And we get so attached to these bodies, the feelings, the perceptions, the thought. We own it. Make everything me and mine. That's when the problem starts. Taking everything as me and mine. And to be able to see this, the more we can be aware of what arises in the mind, because everything arises in the mind and ceases in the mind. Nothing stays constant. But when we see something, when we hear something, a feeling arises. It could be a pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling or a neutral feeling. But we chase after these feelings so much. We chase after these pleasant feelings, keep away from the unpleasant feelings, and we don't. Most of the time, we are living with these neutral feelings. Like we can compare the mind. The mind is akin to a vehicle. A vehicle run with 3 belts: the delusion belt, the greed belt, and the hatred belt. The delusion belt is running constantly. We are deluded all the time. So born out of delusion, there's either greed or hatred. When there's greed, there's no hatred. When there's hatred, there's greed. When there's no hatred, there's greed. So these are the things we need to work with, recognize what arise in the mind born out of greed, hatred, and delusion, rather than own it and make more of it and be so caught up in it, the thoughts that have arisen in the mind. And that's when we see more of this true nature of our existence, how the mind works. The mind is lighter, it becomes expansive, it becomes malleable. So that we have capacity to understand this mind and develop the mind and control the mind to a certain extent. And that's because of the legacies of the Buddha's teachings. Just like looking after the body, it is important to look after the body, because without the body we can't. If the body is not in good shape, good health, it's a bit difficult to, especially to live this life, and it helps. But we don't pay much attention what goes on in the mind. And we have all the opportunity here at Amaravati to do it, really, to really understand the mind. So that's how the more we understand the mind, the wisdom develops. And I can also say wisdom can be, I like to add it in this way, it's like empathizing with a person or a situation without any judgment. And out of that empathy is wisdom. We know then what to do or what to say to that person, or how to deal with the situation. Because we see it, we empathize with it without any judgment. And that's, for me, is wisdom. So these are the 5 qualities Buddha was talking about that the person understand to come up to the top of the water. But the third person recognize these qualities, but that person is not making anything more of it, doesn't put any effort to make more of it, or it doesn't diminish either. So just stays up in the on top of the water, waiting to be rescued. Or might go down again, But the fourth person, the first 3 persons, Buddha didn't recognize them as, Buddha called them as the Putujanas, the one Putujjanas are ones who haven't seen. Well, Putujjanas are ones who are. I'm not sure how to explain Putujjanas in English, to be honest. And the fourth one is the one who comes up to the top of the water, then looks around and opens the eyes and looks around to evaluate, to see whether there's a shore. So that's when that's where the turning point happens. So this person is looking around, and these 5 qualities can be developed further. The one has seen, understood the qualities, and the person is making an effort to look around and see, can I do something to escape from this water? And then, by developing these qualities, that's where the entry to the stream can happen, the stream enterer. That's the stage of the stream enterer. Because this person has recognized these 5 qualities and is making the effort to do something and to make more of these qualities. So once we enter the stream, it's a one-way street because there's no turning back. It only leads to Nibbana. So the 5th person comes up to the top of the water and starts swimming, knowing that there's a shore, there's land visible. So this person swims towards the land. So that's the 5th person. And the 6th person swims towards the land and find a footing. So this person is more or less close to the land and find a footing, can stand on the bed of the river. So this person is reasonably safe now. So that's considered as the non-returner. And the 7th person swims all the way and hit the dry land. And this person has escaped the samsara. Sitting on dry land. So these are the last 4, the 4th, 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th, Buddha considered them as the Aryas, the one who is training. The 4 people who are trying to get out of samsara, trying to train the mind, and making the effort not to get drowned. So we are all born as human beings. So this human existence is very precious. And on top of it, we have the Buddha's teachings. So there's every chance for us not to get drowned, because samsara is such a long journey. But our lifetime is very short compared to the samsara. And we have to really be thankful that we are all born as human beings with able bodies. And being exposed to the teachings of the Buddha. The teachings are alive. And we have enough teachings. Living here at Amaravati, hearing the teachings from the elders and, of course, the books. And in day-to-day life, I think we have enough chances to see our own mind. We are constantly challenged here, life here at Amaravati. It can be complex at times here. I know the samana life is a life of simplicity, but sometimes it can be very complex here. But that's how it is. So in day-to-day life, I feel if we use these day-to-day interactions, encounters, to see our own mind, what arises in the mind, rather than get carried away with what has arisen in the mind, but truly use the opportunity we have here. I mean, we are well provided. The four requisites, we have abundance. With the new buildings, well, now we are getting the new sala. Can't complain. Not having enough space. So we have all the four requisites in abundance. And we have the teachings. So I feel we are in a very privileged position, each one of us. And the other day, I think it was mentioned that it's a very rare opportunity that we have here, especially for the Siladhara. It's a very rare opportunity, and even for the monks, I say it's a very rare opportunity. You don't find everybody giving up their lay life and coming to the monastery to live this life full time. So we have to count our blessings. Maybe the world is going mad, but the world we live in here, that is the world we live in this mind and body, can be very different. Because we are provided with this opportunity in places like this, in monasteries. So I feel it's best to be contented with what we have rather than constantly think of what we don't have. Because contentment comes by recognizing and appreciating what we have. That's contentment. And if you're constantly seeking something that we don't have, there is no contentment. And that leads to a different kind of happiness, because we all like to be happy. And what everybody does is, happiness is dependent on something external. It could be a physical object or a person. If we invest something, if we think we can only get happiness by investing in something external, we are looking for happiness in the wrong place. Because that an external thing or a situation will never make us happy. Either the person can, if we rely on an external person, the person can't make us happy all the time. And also, things change. The person can die, so the happiness gone. And we can't rely on a situation to make us happy all the time. But developing qualities internally, that happiness, through practice, through meditation, that happiness never leaves us, and nobody can steal it either. It goes with us. We take it with us. That's the only thing we take with us when we die, whatever the mind development or cultivation we have done through meditation. So we have quite a lot of things to be happy about living in a monastery. And we are very rich in that sense as human beings. And that's the only thing we take when we die, because that can be cultivated into the next life and to the next life. So for me, the Buddha's teachings has given me great joy. I have only understood it fully since I entered the monastic life, though I was born into it. Not that I didn't like it when I was growing up, but I have truly understood by entering the monastic life the value of it and how precious it is. And I just like to remind on this Vampra night what a lot of treasures we have here as born into a human existence and taking this life, or lay people coming to live in the monastery to share it, live with the monastics and feel for it, even temporarily, and taking with it you all. When you go, learn something and take it with you to improve your lay life and cultivate the minds. So, thank you for your attention.